Hi everyone, welcome to the market review. Today is January 29th. Before we get started, this video is for information purposes only. Please do your own due diligence before investing. Okay, so a bit of a update today with a lot of sectors kind of rebounding from last week. So let's go through them one by one to see what happened here. So last week we had kind of just a whippy week, and with this week being a pretty important week, we have a lot of QQQ earnings reports that will be coming through starting tomorrow, and we also have the FOMC day after on the 31st. Okay, so still a pretty important week. Let's start with the most or the strongest sector of the day was biotech. And we can see it was able to take that anchored VWAP level and close above that, and also above the 5 and 20 days. So that is a bullish close for XBI, and it could point to further movement into some of these gap areas that we had highlighted. You can see how it retook that 5-week as well. So a decent development in XBI, also putting in a higher low here. So all signs pointing to some resumption of some bullish momentum. It felt like for some time here, it felt like with the rejections coming through that it could just tip over and start going down, but that is a good close on XBI. IWC, this is microcaps. We were able to retake, and actually we were above that 5, and with 5 pointing above, like sloping up and also above that 20-day is a good sign for IWC. And more importantly, we were able to take that 200-week resistance, but gotta warn you that today is the first day of the week, so we could start seeing some wicking here with it being an important week, but so far looking like a positive development for IWC. You can see how we tried to take that before, but we failed, and we're doing that a second time now. So got to look for that weekly closure here in IWC. TAN moved up as well, one of the kind of beaten up sectors, and more of this move can be probably related to a move higher in TLT. So rates coming off the highs here are helping things like IWM and TAN, which are rate dependent. So IWM also getting out of this kind of tight consolidation, moving up higher, closing some of these gaps that we had here, and yeah, so nothing bad to say over here for IWC on the daily. And on the weekly, we can see we had that descending wedge, and so far that breakout out of that descending wedge continues, with this week also so far being above the 5-week moving average. And you can see that we tested some supports. We tested 5-day, and we tested the 20-day almost, and we held that and closed above it. So if you want to kind of take a look on the hourly, you can see a lot of kind of sideways action. So a gap up and sideways, and then the end of the close. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Okay, we had sideways last week, so we can see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, all sideways, and then this week kind of pushing higher and not looking back. And if we just take a quick look at TLT, we can see TLT came off the highs, moved to the daily chart here. Sorry, came off the lows and now is hitting some resistances here. So what we would not want to see is TLT move lower here, and that would negate some of the moves in IWM and TAN. Okay, moving forward, KRE, regional banks also putting in a good day. So a lot of sectors were up here, and a lot of bullish charts that are coming through. XLY hitting some resistance here with the 5 and 20 kind of acting as over resistance, but it did close some of these gaps that we had and putting in a decent reversal day, with also Tesla putting in that decent reversal day. XME, metals and mining, was also looking a little weak here, closing and not being able to get above that 5-day, but today pushing above that 5-day. Let's take a look at the weekly really quick. So yeah, we have a push above that weekly as well. So looking pretty decent on XME as well. IJT, small cap growth, some consolidation, move higher. SMH, an important sector that we're looking at. So what's happening here? We had an island reversal here in SMH. The move today is super interesting because what happened is we closed right at that 5-day moving average. So I would not at this point discount the island reversal, and it could possibly still roll over here because we do have the gap from the island reversal and the 5-day to encounter. Let's take a look on the weekly. Weekly, we still look a bit extended. So, you know, with that important week coming through and FOMC coming through, I just have it in the back of my mind that some of these moves could just be short covering before important events. So look for some rollovers in this as resistances come through. We were not able to take the resistance and close higher, which is what is making me a little just cautious here in SMH. Semiconductor stocks. QQQ. So QQQ was kind of tagging here with it also forming that island reversal, but you can see how that look is much different. So QQQ was able to negate that island reversal. You can see that we closed kind of into or above that gap. So that does negate the island reversal in QQQ and a much healthier up move today as opposed to SMH. If we look on the weekly here, we can see that weekly we did close. We were able to close so far in the week above that trend line that we had drawn, but still below the top trend line. So this trend line last week came into play and acted as resistance. This week, let's see if we can get a push higher to that 432 range, and possibly that could be our resistance coming through for QQQ. ITB, so we had that kind of sell-off with the DHI earnings, and it's still so far still holding in there, and this tight consolidation pattern is still developing. Today we were able to sort of retake that 5-week, but not from first of all, we only have 1 day in the week, and it didn't give a considerable close above that 5 weeks. So we got to see how the rest of the week develops. But so this so far this held. It didn't even get a chance to close that gap. So it shows some bulls are still interested in ITB. They could push it higher and try to close this gap here, which could bring some of the sellers back and push lower. But so far this is going sideways. So not really shortable at this point, ITB. QQ equally weighted. We have already done QQ. Mid caps. Okay of a day considering how strong the market reverted today, but this was already holding in there, and this kind of kept that 5 week so far on the weekly, and on the daily we are just hugging the 5-day, and today also we were able to close above the 5-day. So no complaints here on MDY mid caps. So XLK also looks a bit better than SMH. So you can see how that close was considerably above that 5-day moving average, and we were able to close some of that gap, but not all of that gap to negate that island reversal. So island reversal still somewhat in effect in XLK, most predominant in SMH. In XLK, I would say, the mid-level still, because there's some part of that gap still remaining to be closed, and in QQQ it's fully closed, so that would negate that island reversal in QQQ. IYT still looking strong. We did get that hold of the 5-day, although we opened the day below it. but we did hold it and we are moving higher. But with the resistance coming up not too far away, just 4 points away on IYT, got to start being a little cautious here. Maybe some consolidation for a break higher would be the best move for the bulls here. And that could also make sense because we are testing the previous all-time highs here with this trend line coming through. So we could see some consolidation and a fight between buyers and sellers. Sellers could push it lower, have a few tests, and then finally push it higher. Keep a close watch on this. This is going to start being turning into yellow soon with the overhead resistance coming through. XLC looking strong and moving higher here on the weekly. With the week only being 1 day so far, I prefer looking at the daily charts, but doing nothing but moving higher here and hugging that 5 days. So definitely a positive trend on XLC coming through. XRT also holding where it needs to hold for the 5 and the 20 day, and moving higher. S&P 491. So we are kind of approaching that top trend line here at 497. SPX you can see pushed through and closed on that new high. If we take a look on that hourly chart, you can see what happened here. We had consolidation the last week, and this is on Friday. We started to kind of move higher a bit. 12:30. Yeah, so actually Friday is still stuck in consolidation. But as of this morning, we tried that, tested that top of consolidation at 10:30, around 10:30 today, and from there on just kind of pushed higher on on S&P. XLV coming into contact with where it's gotten rejected before twice, so would be an important area, and I believe some of the XLV stocks also report earnings this week. So pushing through and closing above this 140.5 level would be important for XLV. Let's take a look at IYR. The real estate ETF is on this kind of flag and making this kind of flag, and so we need to move higher here for a second move higher for the real estate ETF. XLI, not going to complain about, but still in this channel with reaching overhead resistance. But unlike the previous one we saw, which was I think XLC, or I think it was IYT transports, this does not correspond with previous all-time highs. So if we are able to get through these all-time highs, this would probably act as lesser resistance for it to push higher if it needs to. Utilities, nothing spectacular here, just kind of a reversal day with the rest of the market up, but a huge overhead resistance still in play. IYZ not looking too bad, moving higher with the telecommunications ETF, not looking too bad. XLF moving higher, great. So above that 38 level, holding that 38 level and moving higher from that 38 level. So still looking decent, with just keep in mind there's this resistance. So on any type of market weakness, this could push lower pretty fast with all these kind of sellers holding into these positions here. There could be some selling resistance that comes through on a weaker market day, but a close above that 40 would kind of clear that and then give way for XLF financials to kind of run a bit. UUP opening the day higher and trying to be above this this consolidation area, but pushed lower but still closing above that 5 day over here with key events coming through soon. USD CAD pairs was interesting. So this is kind of a double top here. There was a head and shoulders here that pushed it quite lower. Double top comes through, and before these types of formations have pushed it lower. So if you're a USD bull, then UUP is still holding that 5 day, but you see these moving averages collating here. That is acting as resistance for USD. So we need to push higher and close above that 1.349 mark for USD to be bullish again. So XLE continues to push higher. This demand zone really worked, and it got us back to these levels where we had some gaps, but we're still not able to close these gaps. This could be a sideways consolidation here for XLE and then move to a push higher, or if the market turns, then we could have it coming deeper into this demand area and finding some demand down in these areas. Okay, so pretty bullish day overall. Let's see how it develops as the week progresses, with a lot of important earnings calls coming through, and like I said, the FOMC coming through on the 31st. So position accordingly, position a little bit lighter. Lots of volatility to be expected this week. So you just got to brace yourself and be in that position where you're not panicking if positions are, running up and down with all that volatility. So just watch your position size this week, and as these important events clear, then you can, get heavy into your positions as price dictates. Hopefully that was helpful. See you guys tomorrow.